you came on here, I think 4 or 5 months ago, and you said that the end of July is what we were going to be looking for Russia to really close the trap when it comes to eastern Ukraine, those Russian-speaking provinces, and that's exactly what we're seeing. Not only Pokrovsk, that major logistics hub, cutting the supply lines for Ukraine there, but now Chasiv Yar, one of the key four what they call the fortress cities of Ukraine, has now, and you can see this up, Reuters has it, CNN has it. They're saying this entire city, massive, really this, and so much of this is, it's farmland, right? I remember from being there, but Chasiv Yar was one of the heights that's able to command huge swaths of land from up there. Very, very hard to defend. And yeah, Reuters, there it is with the piece. Russia claims capture of Chasiv Yar after 16-month battle. Yeah. Tony Shaffer, what are we seeing? Why didn't any of the West see this?
Because they're not actually looking at the reality and the facts as they are. They're projecting their aspirational thinking as news. This is kind of a trait. You and I are intelligence officers, and I think we all, Jack, we have our political leanings, no doubt. We have our aspirations, but there has to be a separation, I think, for intelligence officers and reporters, just saying, where you can separate out your advocacy for a side and say, yeah, it's not working. It's not going to work. And when we last spoke on this topic, a few months ago, it's like I understood three things. First, there was a diminishing supply, logistic support from us. It's on a downward slope. I don't see it picking back up. Those things in the supply chain were going to be more and more reduced, and they have been. Secondly, there was no way Ukraine was going to be able to establish a pipeline of manning to continue to hold these fortress cities and maintain the defense. They just can't. It's not numerically possible. And again, the Russian process of combat and attrition has been effective, and there was nothing to stand in the way of that. And of course, third and most important, the Russians themselves have said, we're not going to back down. Putin has said, I think a number of officials have said, yeah, if there's not a peace agreement, you're going to have to start worrying more than us taking the four provinces. We're going to look at taking even more. And I think that's what's happening here. And with the fall of these cities, Jack, nothing is going to be left in the way of the Russians, if they so choose, to go towards a complete partition of Ukraine, where they basically roll up to the Dnieper. I don't think they want all of Ukraine. They don't want to deal with the Western side and the counterinsurgency they deal with. But they're more than happy to go into areas which they think they can control and have the population essentially respond favorably to their occupation, or whatever you care to call it. So these are the facts as they are, not as I think others, to include the neocons here in the United States, were projecting into the media, and the media was reporting as fact.
And you see some of this stuff, and then they'll come out and say, we need to supply more, we need to go more. What I've said is I don't think there's a military way out of this for Ukraine. I don't see one. Do you see one? Because at the end of the day, the only option, of course, that which they could do, it's not a technological or an armament issue, it's a manpower issue. So the only option then would be for NATO to get involved, which of course creates much bigger problems.
I said within the first 3 months of the war, if you go back and find some of those interviews, I probably did here on your network and on Newsmax, that there was never going to be a time that the Ukrainians would have anywhere near a numeric, even equivalent to the Russian available armed forces, the personnel. And I said then, there was no way that the Ukrainians would prevail without an outside third source coming in to help them. And that would have to be either the European Union, which would be kind of a joke, but okay, or NATO. NATO as a military force. And that would be the only way there could be an effective countering of the numeric superiority of the Russians. So from day one, this was doomed, especially the way the Biden administration's kind of incrementally given them weapons. Hope is not a strategy, Jack, and that's what they were just kind of throwing things in there, hoping for the best. And so I think this has gone on longer than I expected. But with that said, the Russians have a great appetite for pain, for suffering. Even though their economy may not be booming, it's not doing badly. They're shrugging off all the new 18th round of sanctions from the Europeans. There is no military solution that's available to the Ukrainians in this regard at this point.
Yeah, I saw Putin was meeting with Lukashenko of Belarus today, and he was asked about the fact that Zelensky is now calling for full regime change in Russia and saying that that's what they want. And Putin's response was, well, I see that he's not interested in negotiating. That's right now, but that's okay. We can wait. We can wait.
Yeah.
Right, because they're the ones who are pounding forward on the ground. It's Zelensky who's running out of time, and I think that's basically what he's playing at there. No, I think at the end of the day, though, it's not going to be between Ukraine and Russia. It's got to be between Russia and the United States. That's where all this started. That's what this absolutely comes down to.